Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's Rochelle from Monterrey. Today I will be talking about the top 5 books that I read in 2022 that I love so much. So I have 2 self-help books. Here I have 1 manga, 1 novel, and 1 classic. So the first 2 months of 2022, I read a lot of mangas, and there's one in particular that I enjoyed so much. I couldn't get over it for weeks, and I also watched the anime and I loved it. So that one is I Want to Eat Your Pancreas by Yoru Sumino. This was so good, even though I knew what was going to happen at the end. The way it happened was so unexpected and almost like very sad. I mean, it's already sad, but it became more sad. And I think that's why I loved it so much, because it affected me a lot. As heartbreaking it is when reading a sad story, when it's very well made, you just can't help but love it. And that's how I feel about this manga. So basically, there's this girl who has a sickness, and but she's like always so happy, and she becomes friends with this introverted boy who doesn't really talk much. But then eventually this boy starts to feel more comfortable with her, and they develop this kind of friendship. But then he also knows that she has a sickness and he doesn't know if she's gonna live long. And when you have a friend who has this illness, you can't help but wonder, okay, you might lose this person anytime. And as even though you know that from the get-go, it's still really hard to accept that you might lose, or you're gonna lose this friend anytime. So I definitely recommend this, even for those who don't read mangas that much. I didn't read mangas that much before as well, and I don't read mangas that much anymore, but this one was just really good. I recommend it. Then another book that I really enjoyed is a romance. It's called The Simple Wild by K.A. Tucker. So I read books by K.A. Tucker before, but like it's been years, so I don't remember much about those books. But this one in particular, I just picked it up in the first few months of 2022, I believe, or I bought it last year, I don't remember, because I was starting to get into reading again, and one of the staff at Indigo recommended this. So this is about a girl named Kala who goes to Alaska to visit her dad, and then like she didn't grow up with her dad, so they're not really close. But when she arrives at Alaska, she starts to spend time with her dad and kind of rekindle that father-daughter relationship. But also over there, she meets a guy, and that guy kind of like teaches her stuff about her dad, but also life in Alaska, and she starts to fall for him, and he starts to fall for her as well. And that's the love story, and there's more to it, and I really enjoyed it because the romance wasn't rushed. In several scenes where Kala is not with the male protagonist, I still really enjoyed the other scenes. So that's what I like so much about this book, is even though I'm not reading the romance parts, the other scenes are still really interesting, and I'm always looking forward to read every single scene. So I also really like the father-daughter relationship that they rekindled and they develop in this book. So I would recommend this if you're the type to read a lot of like cheesy romance books and you want to read a romance that's not too cheesy or cringy. I would recommend this one. And then I have my first self-help book that was recommended by Ali Abdal. I love Ali Abdal's videos and book recommendations, and one of his book recommendations is Show Your Work by Austin Kleon. I swear, when I read this, I became more consistent with my blog. I started a podcast. I started filming videos again on YouTube. I did so many things, and at this point, I don't really care about what other people think of my work anymore. I just want to do all these because I enjoy doing them, and yeah, I just don't want to let others' opinions stop me from doing something that I love anymore. And this book really helped me work on that. One of the quotes that I really like from this book is, don't think of your website as a self-promotion machine, think of it as a self-invention machine. Online, you can become the person you really want to be. Fill your website with your work and your ideas and the stuff you care about. Which is so true. Like, when you're creating something and you're sharing your work to people, don't think of it as something that, oh, you want to earn money from it from the get-go. That shouldn't be your main goal. Like, of course, it would be nice to earn money from doing something you love, but your first goal when you're doing something or when you're sharing your work is because you love it. It should come from passion that you have and you just want to share it to the world. And when you start earning from that, then great. But if not, if it takes a while, that's okay, as long as you're enjoying what you're doing and what you're sharing. So really enjoyed this. If you're still hesitating to share your work because you're doubting yourself or you're thinking about people's opinions all the time, I completely understand where you're coming from. I definitely recommend this book to kind of like help you think about it more and motivate you or push you to just go for it. I also read another self-help book that really helped me this year, and the reason why I bought this is because something happened at work that really confused me and that really made me hate a part of myself. And I didn't like that feeling. I wanted to do something about that aspect of my life and my attitude. And I was just thinking negatively about life, about my work, about everything. So I said, okay, let me just search up what are the books that can help me understand my emotions, or like what are the books that can help me stop thinking so negatively about my life. So when I searched up on Google, okay, this book came out and I was like, okay, I just bought it, just like that. And as I was reading, I was highlighting and was trying to apply what it says in the book into my life, and it started to really change the way I saw things, the way I handled things. So I'm very thankful that I found this book. That's Master Your Emotions by Thibaut Maurice. Ever since I read this book, I reduced the amount of negative thinking and the overthinking that I was doing, and I just focused on what I wanted to achieve. I just focused on what I could control, and not too much on things that were out of my control, because I was just focusing on what I wanted, on my goals. I became happier than I was before, and the amount of stress that I was feeling prior to reading this book were reduced. So I was very thankful for that. It didn't completely remove stress or remove the overthinking and the negative thinking, but at least it reduced it. And now I barely even have negative thoughts. Sometimes I do, because we're human and sometimes negative thoughts just comes and goes. But yeah, it's just I'm more grateful now, and this also kind of motivated me to read more self-improvement and self-help books. So yeah, the classic that I love, 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 and it's probably like my favorite book of all time that I read in 2022 is Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. I've had this book for so long, but I only read it this year. And as you can see, I annotated, I just devoured this classic. I was so surprised of myself because I couldn't stop reading it, and that doesn't usually happen when I'm reading a classic, and it's been a while since I read a classic, so there's that too. I think the last classic that I read, that I got really into it, that I couldn't put it down, was 1984 by George Orwell. So the fact that this did it as well, where I was so engaged with the story, I was like always looking forward to reading it after work, and I just love every single part of the romance in this book. After I read this book, I watched the movie. Yeah, it's so weird because when I started reading this, I forgot what it was about. That I had to read the back again just to give me an idea on what was happening. But then at the same time, I'm like, okay, yeah, I didn't really care about what I read here. I just continued reading and just go with the flow. But basically, it talks about an orphan who lives with her aunt, and she wasn't treated well. Her cousins weren't treating her well, and then they sent her to boarding school, and there she wasn't treated well. So after a few years, she leaves and she works for this man. She is the governess of the man's daughter. The man starts to fall for her, and she starts to fall for him, but then she kind of like tries to ignore her feelings. I like the fact that she doesn't let her feelings decide everything for her. She's very smart. Jane Eyre is very smart, and she does what's right. She doesn't just decide to do something because of her feelings for this person. I definitely recommend this to people who love reading romance and wants to get into classics, but are too intimidated by the classic books. This one, not too hard to read, and the romance is amazing, so I recommend it. So these are the top 5 books that I really, really enjoyed in 2022. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.